All right, people, the bean's back. Um, I'm back, and it's a reality check. Okay, I think that we as a people who are trying to be free thinkers or trying to understand what a free thinker is, we need to understand what's that all about and what it does for us. Okay. So I'm gonna get right into the topic, right? The topic today, right, will be the influence. What's the influence? What's the influence? Once again, what is the influence? See what this is? They call this money, right? They call this money. Now, upon our growth and us maturing, becoming the adults that we are today, we were all taught that the foundation of our existence is supposed to be on the basis of survival. Survival is supposed to pertain to the fact of how we value things, right? Okay. One of the major things that they taught us, right, when we start to learn or be taught to know, is that money is everything. This, they say, is everything. Oh, they told you that this right here is supposed to take you places, get you things, take you to a higher ground, give you a different status. I guess it makes your worth in life better than it was before. I can go on and on with these scenarios, but this is another method of catching you into a circle that continuously goes around 360 degrees, and it never changes you to where you're supposed to be. Remember, the main thing is the main thing, right? And that is you. So what they have done is that they have taught us not to think about us. They gave us a blueprint of how we supposed to expect our lives to be in the future if we choose to do the things that they told us to do. And one of the things is that this so-called money that they had us learn is supposed to be the way of life, in the sense of changing the perception of what you're supposed to be. Like, in other words, you're going to change who you are according to how you seek out the things that you have to do in life, right? Now, mind you, upon us being taught and we have to learn about money, we have to know where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? So what they told us, it only comes from what we do. And that's not true. You know what I'm saying? But let's stick with the concept of what they said. Now, upon you actually seeking out and learning to just, make this money, so-called, as they say, our life will be in a better place. You're not realizing that the focus of this, right, is taken away from how you're supposed to see yourself and how you also supposed to know what's going on in the sense of how it's being brought to you. So the tool of learning is to separate your mind from what it's supposed to do, to teach it what they want you to do. You get that, what I just said? In other words, they're separating your thoughts that's supposed to be for yourself onto something different that will take you away from what you're supposed to know and be. So by that being said, yes, it's called a distraction. Yes, when you look at the way you were educated and also how you was taught to learn about, right? Upon you doing that, right, you would say, no, I always cared about myself. Oh, no, I always had concern of myself. Or no, I never lost the sense of thought of who I was or who I am today. Yes, you have. See, because that process that they put us through, that we are in a place where we're being taught to learn about the ways of life, none of it is in sync to the fact it is things that you're thinking about that's coming from you. You're being taught this, which means you don't know until you're being told. So what is taking place at these particular groups, these learning centers that they give different names to, is to separate you from your body, mind, and soul. So what I mean by that is that if you have to always go somewhere to be taught about something, right? What does that mean? Okay, think about what I just said. If you always have to go somewhere, or you pick up a book, or you're being spoken to by somebody about receiving information, where does that place you? Let it sit there for a minute. Think about it. Okay. Now, the first thing supposed to come to your mind is that means that you can't do nothing without somebody telling you something. Yes, because you're not thinking. Oh, now how did I come up with that? It falls in place to what? To any one of the learning centers. In order for you to know how to do mechanics, engineering, being a doctor, architect, administrator, secretary, police officer, bus driver. I can go on and on and on of all these different things that they have us working on what we're supposed to do in life. You have to be taught in order to do it. So by that being said, that means the information is coming from somebody else. And upon them giving you that information, yes, it's a distraction from you thinking for yourself. Yes, because while you're doing those things, you're so focused on getting it right, that you basically take it in, you absorbing what's been taught to you, and you furthering it to your best ability so you can do it so well. So explain to me, if you do that in that way, how are you thinking or allowing yourself to think out your thoughts so you know the things that's taking place in front of you, ahead of you, or certain things that's kind of not beneficial to you? How are you doing that? The word distraction means that I'm making sure you don't get the opportunity to do that. And how will I be able to do this? By creating all of these different avenues that you have to go through in order for you to coexist in life. Yes. So by that being said, remember I said they taught you about this heavily, big time. And upon them teaching you the concepts of what money's supposed to be to you, you basically have been told you won't be able to do nothing in life. You won't be able to do nothing in life unless you have money. And it's not true. It is so not true. You have to understand how we think about the things that we want. None of them coincide with real life is supposed to be about. Wanting a place, a house, a family, a new way of life. That stuff doesn't consist of real life. Because each one of those things that I just spoken about, or you could think of that you have learned yourself, you're going to notice every one of them has a problem. Everyone has a problem, and it's never going away. It's always going to be there, and it becomes even greater because why? It's to distract you from the realities of how you need to see yourself. So it sounds crazy how I'm telling you this. But if you take the time out to think out how I'm saying it to you, you're going to realize, yes, this is what they did to all of us. All of us, including myself. So the reason why I told you to take the time out to empty out your mind, right? And don't think about the things you're supposed to do, but allow your thoughts, things that's coming from you that comes up into mind to pay attention to, is because you're actually listening to yourself, and then you have the opportunity to see where that's going to take you when you give yourself the time to absorb it. Because when you go to do that, no one's talking to you now. I'm saying it's just you. So by that being said, the mind building that you're supposed to be doing is supposed to come from you. It's not coming from a book. No illustrations of any magazines that you read, or some documentary coming from a video on social media, where a lot of people tend to want to be guided by other people's way of establishing a life or seeing things. No, you have to allow yourself to pay attention to how you think. No, not about what was given to you to think. That's where the teaching process comes from, which distracts you. No, it's when your thoughts is when your mind is telling you something and you react to what's being thought of by you. There's nobody behind that. The only person that's there who's telling you anything is just you. It sounds crazy. And the weird thing about it is they kind of put it in our head that when you see people talking to themselves or doing certain things that shows no involvement of another person, they're supposed to be so-called crazy. No, they're not. They're not crazy. Nope. They're not crazy at all. You have to understand, if you got put in a room, right? Perfect example. If you went into a room, right? You turn around and looked and say, oh, wow, it's just an empty room. And then you go back to the same door you go back to the same door that you came in, and you try to get out and the door is locked. Perfect example. What are the things that you have to do to get out that room? Now, listen to what I just said. You went into an empty room, right? Okay. You went into the room, right? The door closed. It's nothing. You look to see that the room is just basically empty. There's nothing really there. But then when you turn around to go to the door that you came into, it's locked. So, by that being said, think about what I just said. How would you be able to get out of that room? There's nothing in that room for you to use. It's an empty room. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, when you in that place where Your resources have been cut off because you closed out from. Like, in other words, you can't get to, you can't call to tell someone. It puts you in place where you're going to have to think out what is necessary for you to do to get out of that room. But so by that being said, now you're being forced to think, to use your mind to think about what you have to do. Now, explain this to me. I gave you that simple example, right? So why should it be that you be enclosed or captured in one place where you have to figure out what you do? Instead, you give yourself time to relax and empty out your mind and allow your thoughts to talk to you. Do you understand that? See, because anybody who will be in that situation, they're going to, common sense to tell that person, the only way you're going to be able to get is, the only way you're going to be able to get out of that room is that you have to think out and problem solve your own situation. Yes, you have to solve your own problem. Right. So why do you have to be in that situation to think when you could do it on your own without nothing happening, or you being held captive, or you being stuck in one place where you can't get out? No, you're free to do whatever you want to. What I don't understand is that why you don't take the time out to even just do that for yourself. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, people. The funniest thing is that we pay attention to everything else because our minds and our thoughts was taught for us to function in a way where we're always doing, because it's supposed to show the result of what? The things that we do help us to become who we are today. Yes, that's what they taught us. And how we go about what we have to do, we have to make sure that we're focused on doing that. Right. So what I'm saying to you is, how come you can't take the time out to focus on yourself? And focus on yourself is not about picking up no book. Nope. It's not about watching no TV. It's not about listening to no music. It's about you finding the time to empty out your mind, right? Put yourself in a situation where you don't have to do anything and you kind of listen to your thoughts. Yeah, you listen to your own thoughts. So what I'm saying, people, I want you to understand, right? We've been taught, right, certain ways or how we supposed to, survive in life or do the things we supposed to do in life that will give us things, but technically we really don't need nothing, you know what I'm saying, to survive. Only but ourselves. We have to rely on ourselves so we can be put in a place where, as long as that we okay, right? And as long as we still living, you know what I'm saying? It gives us an opportunity to understand the more important things in life is myself, you. So by that being said, you know that if you're in a better place to think in a healthy way, then you know that your thinking is not about everybody else. Your thinking is about how you should function and be. So by that being said, like I said before again, if you listen to yourself, you're going to start to realize that a lot of information that you're taking in is being falsified to keep you in a daze about the realities. Yes. I'm not, gossiping or running along with a long sentence of nothing. What I'm saying to you is, this is how they keep us away from us having to think how we supposed to function, by spoon feeding us trash. Yes, I could break it down to between the learning process, the news, how we supposed to be when we grow up in a sense of becoming somebody, it's all trash. It's all trash. And it's also trash about this too. I'm going to show you again. This is a big distraction because technically this ain't worth nothing. If you actually look and you read one of these, right? Just read it. Take the time out, right? Take the time out, right? Pick up any one of these bills. Any one of them. Pick it up, right? Which they seriously got you focused on not doing. Pick up any one of those bills. Read what it says on the bill. Read what it says. This is not money. These are notes. Notes is like a receipt. And it says it on the bill. So by that being said, what does that mean? That what they told you to hold in value has no real value. But the way they taught us, it does have value. Because the things you could purchase with it, but you don't realize it has no value. This piece of paper travels throughout the world because it's being governed to travel. In other words, they made it where it's available to be in a traveling-like state. That means that they made it law that this is supposed to be something instead of nothing. So by that being said, the trickery and the foolery to it is that you're holding it in your hand and you still don't know what it is. But yet you know you could buy things with it. You know that it takes you places. You know that it does certain things that you can't do on your own. That's a lie. You could do a lot of things on your own without having to really go after this piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? And that comes from the fact, if you think out your thoughts and start to understand the place that they put you, right? You're going to realize all of it coincide with the dream world. But yet it doesn't necessarily establish that your real purpose in life is supposed to be different the way they taught you. Much different than the way they taught you. Like I told you, we're natural travelers. So we're natural travelers. We have no real thought of just really like thinking about this. Nope. Because we're supposed to be able to go anywhere we want without even have to really having to have a need for it. That's right. In other words, we're never supposed to be in the same place at one time. No. We're supposed to be everywhere. And we're not supposed to see something no more than once. Why? Because each time we're in a different place. So, how did I figure that out? My thoughts. My thoughts put me in a position where I had the opportunity to think out the things I need to really see in life. How did I come up with the concept of what this is really supposed to be? I actually did what I just told you. I actually did what I just told you. I actually sat there one day. So it was a while ago, so for a long time ago. But I actually sat there and took one of those bills and I read it. And I said, why is this, why does these bills say what it says on the top of them and in the back of it? And you're going to realize there's a bunch of statements that's being written on that piece of paper. And that piece of paper has actually been passed through by certain individuals that made it law to actually obtain it, and use it. So when you go to read one of those bills, you're going to see a whole bunch of information that is going to tell you when you learn about it. Yeah, you could do your history and check it out and, and do your research. And you're going to notice that this is like a poster of a bunch of information that is kind of letting you see to know that there's a whole lot of people involved with that being made for what it's supposed to be for us. But in reality, it's just messages that's going from one person to another in a sense of telling them the things that they're going to do next. Yeah, it's written on that piece of paper. I ain't lying to you. You're going to be amazed at the serious art that they put on this paper, that things that occurred already is on these bills. Yeah, and how did I know that? I took the time out to analyze it. In other words, I kept saying, what is this? Like, yo, why are we always in the need for this? Why is it that we, what's the urgency for us to make that paper? And I started to realize it's a distraction. It's a distraction from us not having to think for ourselves. Yes, it's a major distraction, because if you talk to anybody, I guarantee you they're going to, in the sentencing, anything they say in the sentence, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear the word money come up. Whether it's paying bills or going to go somewhere or doing something, it all falls in relations to money. Okay? And then, when you take the time out to listen to any one of your friends, whatever the case is, they're never going to talk about themselves. They're never going to talk about something that came from them and it came to mind. They're going to speak about it. No, because they've been focusing on, and they've been taught that this is their real foundation, knowing where their money is at, knowing how to spend the money, knowing how to make it, knowing how to go from one situation to another to better themselves or to have fun or say that they did something when in reality they really didn't. Because if you're seeing that person place a thing more than once, then you doing a circle. You going in a circle, which means you doing. I don't think that none of us is supposed to be in a situation where we go work at a job or we participate in some type of group that we kind of worked ourselves up to, and we see that every day for 10, 15, 25, 30 years. Some people be doing 40 and 50 years of looking at the same thing or doing the same things. We're not supposed to be like that. But how are you going to figure that out? You have to give yourself time to think. Yes, no, not think about those groups. Think of your functioning of yourself. Because seriously, there's things that's happening now that I guarantee you a lot of y'all not paying attention to, that's going to be really serious for us, that we need to know, because we're about to get hit with some serious shit. I don't mean to curse like that. Excuse my language, but we're about to get hit with some serious stuff. And the way that we're going right now, where we're not in concern about ourselves, we're going to get caught up into it. And the reason why we're going to get caught up into it is because we're not taking the time out to think for ourselves, to know that how information is being presented to us is being falsified. It's not being truthful. And it's also a scare tactic to keep us not alert, but to keep us in fear. So I'm going to stop this video here and give you that moment to think about what I said. But what I'm saying to you is, and what this particular video was about, was the word called distraction. Yes, a distraction that separates you from the reality of what? Of life itself. So, people, once again, you have to take the time out to shut down the things you're doing and empty your mind and have that moment where you allow your mind speak to you. your mind to speak to you. Yes. So I'm gonna leave you on that note. And yes, I'm gonna try to make the videos closer than they're supposed to be on the next one. All right. So for the meantime, yeah, I know it's early in the morning, but look, I'm determined, right? I'm determined for us to get ourselves together for ourselves. Okay? So people, please, the being is speaking to you, and I'm trying to get at you to say it's time for you to do you. And do you means that you need to know what's going on, but you see it from the outside in. That means you're standing on the outside now, because if you're on the inside, that's how they got us, okay? Because technically, you're not on the inside. You're actually on the outside as they see it. Because everything they're telling you, they falsifying the information to you. So please, I'll catch you on the next video. The Bean says, yo, let's get our minds right, okay? Peace out, people. Catch you on the next video.